everybody. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Relationships. Why? Because we either work things out or we act it out, and we do it through our money, through our relationships, or through our health. And after 25 plus years of doing what I do, because I'm the money chick, and Rita here is the relationship chick. And we've just seen a lot of patterns and a lot of suffering that doesn't need to happen any longer. And it's like today we were talking about, how do you love your life despite everything around you? How do you love your life? How do you giggle? How do you still find joy in loving your life despite what has occurred or not occurred, internally or externally? Right?
Right. I've been talking to my psychologist, and she acts as kind of like a healer mentor to make sure that I don't get myself in too deep, and that I've got resources I need, because I end up working with women who are struggling with quite a few things, quite a bit of past trauma, and so I talk to my support system, my psychologist, every week. And since I really, this last year, I think both you and I have made a dedicated investment in ourselves, in how do we speed up this healing process of our own healing. We've been totally focused on that. And you and I have like, all right, now's the time. Now's the opportunity.
Now is the time.
And we started, I started to pour as much Miracle-Gro on my little plant as I could. And everybody thought I was crazy. They did. They thought I was losing my mind, because I was healing myself. I was healing my body. And what's come out of it, of you healing your body through all the rituals and traditions and ceremonies and health things that you do and conversations that you have. And I've been healing my body, in my way. And we're at a place where I'm talking to my psychologist, and I'm like, yeah, my life is really great. All my relationships are good. Things are all moving forward. I'm surrounded by abundance. My family's healthy. I'm healthy. Look at all of this. And I every week I hear myself saying that, because it's just true. Our lives really can turn around.
Well, and here's
that's innovative and creative.
It was interesting when I was hearing you say, everything is good, my relationships are good. It's funny, our brains can go to but it's like, no, like, allow. What I realize is that allow yourself to be on the bridge, right? The bridge to the life that you were creating for yourself, and now the life that you are creating for yourself. And it's okay to learn across while you're walking across the bridge to the other side. And far too often we judge ourselves, and we get in that story of, because like I was saying earlier, it's not like challenges don't come, but I will tell you that as I continue, like, the big message for me this past 2 weeks has been extremely strong, healthy boundaries for myself. And I got to tell you, that challenged a lot of my relationships. But you know what? It's all coming full circle, and it's all getting healthier, and it's more perfect. But I will tell you that when you first hold those boundaries, it doesn't feel perfect. Even though it's the right thing to get everybody to that next right step, to be the life that you want it to be created. So it's really, really, you said something to me a long time ago that, in relationship, that one of the best ways that you can love somebody else is by holding extremely strong boundaries to what's authentically true for you. And I know in the last couple of weeks that has showed up in spades in my world. Couldn't be more true.
And that's actually the most beautiful. That's the part you're going to look back on in a little bit of time and say, that was the most beautiful, amazing part of this process.
Yeah, right.
because the body loves to experience stories and life, whether they're our stories or somebody else's stories. It loves to feel alive,
Right. We
you
connect
know?
with stories. Yeah.
And when we can dial down the difference between being in anxiety and being in excitement is just a slight difference of chemicals. When you're in anxiety, it's cortisol. When you are in excitement, it's beta endorphins. And
Mm,
so you literally get to flip the switch between anxiety and excitement by choosing something that makes you happy.
mm. Can you say
And
that
when,
again for people in terms of, so anxiety produces cortisol in your system?
oh, well, actually, cortisol produces anxiety.
Ah,
You need to be aware of that. When our nervous system is deciding whether it's okay or not okay, if it determines it's not okay because consciously you're allowing yourself to follow the fear without doing anything about it, then it releases cortisol, which makes you feel anxious.
that's super interesting to me because, you know,
So then,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, one of the
But
biggest things I've realized is that one of the reasons that, you know, many empaths hold on to weight is because cortisol is shooting through your system
all the time, all
all
the
the
time
time.
when you're in fight or flight, your
Right.
cortisol is shooting through your system. Uh, so when you get triggered, and instead of telling your body, "You're right, this is terrifying," and continuing down that path, when you consciously do something that tells your body, "No, we're okay now, everything's all right,"
Yep.
then your body releases beta endorphins. And beta endorphins are your body's natural, let's say, opioids. They're your pain managers. They're the things that make you feel happy. And your body naturally produces it when you choose to focus on the things that make you happy. So most people are in fight or flight
Yeah.
about 80% of the time. So 80% of the time of their life, they're shooting cortisol through their system because they get triggered, they start to calm it down before they can even get out of the
Right.
tension, they get triggered again and then triggered again and then triggered again. So their body's never absorbing the nutrients it needs to absorb. It's never being hydrated the way it needs to hydrate. Your brain isn't actually thinking clearly. You're
Yep.
thinking from your reptile brain. Your skin feels like it's crawling. You feel depressed because you're disassociating because it's so uncomfortable. You feel anxious because your body feels like it's had too much caffeine. All these things are happening, and you have to somehow decide for yourself at the height of your fear that you're going to set a boundary,
Yep.
and you're going to go for a walk,
Yeah.
and you're going to love yourself enough that you're going to stop replaying that story in your head and instead love yourself like you were supposed to be loved when that story was originally started.
Right.
You were supposed to have somebody hold your hand through the scary things, but if you didn't,
Right.
you were out of luck.
So
But
true.
now we have to do this for ourselves.
I witnessed so many people doing this. You know, like I said, I'm the money chick, but you know what? It is fascinating to me how many people are in fight or flight all the time, and then they recreate based on their stories, they recreate these suffering cycles. And it's fascinating to me that keeps you in cortisol. It's like you can see how the whole circle just keeps going around.
Mhm. Mhm. But when you're in fight or flight, and there's nothing wrong with it. We're supposed to be in fight or flight like 20% of the time of our life so we can lift cars off of children, so we can rescue people out of burning houses. We're supposed to have that little bit of cortisol, um, but not all the time. It's only supposed to be a small
Yeah.
20% of the time.
Yeah.
So
That's
the
fascinating.
hard, the hardest part is convincing people that if they start to choose joy, that their body will heal itself and that they will see the solution to every problem that exists because they'll be able to solve it because they're not in a place of complete train wreck, which our bodies and our minds are almost all the time until you start doing the work. Do you remember what you were like 5 years ago? Right,
Yeah,
you were a
I had
train
almost
wreck, I'm
died on an
sure.
operating table giving birth to my 4th child. And I came back into the world after seeing the light on the other side on that operating table. I came back very different. Very different. I couldn't plug into the world the same way. It wasn't even possible.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yep.
absolutely fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. Our lives were train wrecks inside of ourselves, and that's supposed to be okay. That's acceptable. Oh yeah, everybody's got problems. Oh yeah, everybody's got issues.
Yeah, no. I mean, I came back. I wasn't able to. I was hitting these bouts of rage, and I'm conscious enough to understand that rage is just a more pronounced form of anger, and anger is a more pronounced form of sadness. And so I would literally walk around the house going, "Why am I sad? Why am I sad? Why am I sad?" And I've come to learn that really what it boiled down to is I wasn't feeling my feelings. I was chalking it up and moving it on. Julie has a huge capacity to do things. And I would chalk
Mm-hmm.
it up, move it on, chalk it up, move it on, chalk it up, move it on. And um, that just built and built and built and built. And I was having bouts of expressing that anger and rage
Mm-hmm.
until I really figured it out that I was in a marriage that I didn't like anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't necessarily know what to do about that.
Mm-hmm.
So we were either going to evolve together or evolve apart. And we now know the story. We evolved apart.
Right, just because he wasn't ready to change and
Yeah,
you were.
right.
And that's okay because sometimes we need somebody else to go first.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. Right.
and I tell women a lot of times that it's okay to not want to do something. They don't have to force themselves to do something that they don't want to do. And that's like at a core of abuse, isn't it? Where we sit there and assume that we've got no rights and we can't take care of ourselves. And convincing them that they need to take care of themselves and that it's okay that other people are trying to take care of themselves too, even if it looks really dysfunctional to you.
Right.
That person that is raging and scaring everybody and threatening people is the same person that helps thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people get their life together.
Right.
So if we give ourselves permission to do what we need to do to heal ourselves, whatever that looks like, it takes a weight off of us because then we can give other people permission to be who they need to be.
Right.
And it's that acceptance that gives them the space and the encouragement to grow, even if it takes longer than we wish it would for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we have to allow everyone's dignity and self respect to try to grow and survive and heal themselves as much as we can without compromising our own right to do the same.
Yeah, because it's not our job to heal other people. It's our job to heal ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, by healing yourself, it actually gives the opportunity for other people to heal. And that's how you get to a life that you love, because then you're plugging into the world in an authentic manner.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Because,
the authenticity that creates magic, not being perfect, not crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. It's being authentic that's magical,
right,
even if you don't understand why.
exactly. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And so what are you seeing with people today and where they're getting jammed up? So we've been through a lot, right? We've
Mm-hmm.
been through pandemics, economic depression era type numbers.
You know what I'm seeing is that people are very afraid to trust right now. And
Mm,
so it's hard for them to heal and move forward because they've been betrayed in so many ways. And so they don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves to make good decisions. They don't trust themselves to be happy. Um, and so it's safer to stay in anger and hurt and rage and anxiety and depression and everything that comes with it. It's emotionally safer. And they're having a harder time trusting and having hope because 9 times out of 10 they've felt, like someone's hurt them,
mm,
instead of being able to recognize that the world is in the majority good and only a small percentage that's re-triggering us or causing this trauma. When I started to reclaim a lot of my emotions, I also reclaimed a lot of my memories. So I'd forgotten a lot of the good things that had happened to me as a child because all I could focus on was the pain and the hurt and the anger and the sadness.
right.
And when I started to allow those to exist and move through me uh, without allowing myself to live in it, instead to honor it, recognize it, respect it, and say, hey, what do you need? And then give it an ice cream cone if it needs an ice cream cone. That comfort, to give ourselves that
Like the
comfort.
Dunkin' Donuts munchkins that I ate this morning.
Yes, yes. It's not that you can't, you just need to be smart about it
Yeah,
and use
I mean,
it
I
as
had a
it's
couple
meant
of
to be
them, right?
used. Yeah, and use it as it's meant to be used, which is to convey self love and self care. If you do that while you're pissed off, it literally takes you from hell to heaven in your body.
Can we talk about that? So that is a really, really, really great point. So, you know, it is about, finding your happiness, and people do find their happiness through not necessarily healthy options, right?
Hmm.
So, I talk about this with my boyfriend all the time in terms of the fact that we sit there and it's like, but we like to go out to dinner and we like to, dine in a restaurant. And but yet everybody, every health thing says, well, you should cook your own food and eat your own food. And it's like, but we have so much joy like going
There's
out.
a rule, yeah, there's a rule of thumb with healers, um, which is if someone believes something is going to work, then it will.
Mm,
So they need to make the choice. If they think surgery is going to work for them, then they should have the surgery. If they think surgery is not going to work for them, then they shouldn't have the surgery.
yeah, because whatever your belief
Because,
system is, yeah.
yeah, because our bodies respond as if it will help us. If we believe the surgery will help us and we're excited and looking forward to it and we're not stressed about it, there's a way better chance that it will help us. Whereas if we're angry and resistant to it and we think we're being forced, then our body's shutting down. It's great to do self hypnosis and meditation before any sort of medical procedure because it lets it go uh, statistically so much better because it allows the body to stay relaxed, not go into that desert deprived state of fight or flight where everything is deprived. When you're in fight or flight, your body takes everything away from your digestion. It takes it away um, from anything that isn't critical. So many sexual problems come because women are in fight or flight a lot. And so their bodies can never wake up and enjoy physicality because they're locked down, because they're in fight or
Mm,
flight.
that's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. I mean, so all sorts of great things happen when you start, detoxing these things. You start to break through, as we've talked about physically. Suddenly, you're able to enjoy life in a way you hadn't enjoyed it before with people that you didn't think it could be that. Wow.
I'm gonna say yes to that one.
Yes.
It's really
Life.
amazing.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
really, really, really amazing.
Mhm.
It's
It's
super
night and day.
fascinating to me, like how it's so interwoven, our relationships and our health and our money. Like there's this interweaving, like if you're not happy, I always tell people, it's like, and this one client years ago is the first one that illustrated it to me when I got it, because um, she came to me and she's like, I'm so far behind in my retirement planning. I don't need you to tell me how far behind I am. Just put me on the right track. So she didn't want any fancy reports or anything. She just wanted to pay me for my time to get her to the next place. And she literally to this day comes in for an annual financial checkup. And the one year she came in with like $32,000 of credit card debt. And she was well paid. She made over six figures. She was decently paid, but way underpaid for what she was doing. And so I started to notice that there was this underlying messaging here that, wow, she's like, it was affecting her relationship. She was divorced. And, but then we totally were getting her financial stuff in order, and her credit card debt was coming down over about a year and a half. And then she only had like 10 grand left. She had taken a bonus and put towards it, but then she had gained 23 pounds. And I was like, in that same 18-month window, she had decreased her debt and she increased her weight. Then she decided to start running Ironman competitions. So she then got in shape. And then her credit card debt went up to like 44,000. And I was like, and this is like in a year and a half. She did this like seesaw. So I watched her do this for like 7 years, this back and forth. And I finally go, what is at the core of this? And really it was that she was not being authentic in the world. She had now gotten to an age where she didn't feel like she could bear children herself. And she thought that dream just was gone. And she was working out those emotions behind all that, because she had married the guy that was abusive and then divorced him and then never got back in a relationship. And she also had a boss that was verbally abusive. And it's like it came in other packages in other areas of her life. And it was interesting to watch the dance. And today she's
About
thriving.
being, yeah,
She's thriving
yeah, it's
because
about being dysregulated inside your body.
right.
It's about constantly being dysregulated inside your body,
Right.
so that everything else is just a coping skill, whether it's Iron Man or whether it's the relationships or whether it's the money. It's the coping skill for the dysregulation, for being in fight or flight all the time and being undernourished because of it.
Right.
If you had known what you knew
fascinating.
now, you would have been able to help her turn it around in months instead of years.
Oh no, I mean, she taught me.
No.
She's been a client.
Oh no.
15 years. No, and I see that pattern, and today, with realizing this connection between our health and our wealth and our relationships, like, I mean, that's what obviously led us to doing these, right? The Awakening series, because it's so interwoven, and you absolutely can get through it so much faster. And you just have to desire to have a new dream.
Yeah, you have to want to do it, and then you find the people who know what they're talking about, and they're able to walk you through and support you through the changes in the process that happens as you go from desert to garden, from hell to heaven, because it's scary to do it on your own.
Right.
And but once you're through it, and then the problems that made you do those things that kept sabotaging yourself, they're gone, and you're able to literally thrive. You get off the seesaw for forever.
Right, because once you shine the light on what it is causing the seesaw, it doesn't come back.
Right, it doesn't come back. You may have to work through it a few times. It may come to the surface.
You got to get like to the core. It's kind of like getting to the core of a wart, right? You got to get the whole damn thing out of your foot. You got to get every little inch of that out before it actually.
It's cortisol. Yeah, it's cortisol in the brain, and every time you regulate, every time you get back to your happy and what makes you giggle, whenever you come back to that, it detoxes more cortisol out of your brain.
Right.
Until what happens is, here's this emotion that's been protected by all the cortisol, something that happened when you were 5 around donuts or something. And, something totally random.
Right.
And the emotion breaks through the cortisol that's left, because it wants to be free and be authentic more than you've got the, oh no, I can't do this, I'm in danger, this is bad, this is wrong. Most of that's detoxed, and then the emotion is able to come through. And because of that, your relationships change, because now you're communicating from your heart. You're not communicating from your head.
So the crystallization of those emotions inside your body,
Mm-hmm.
where does cortisol come into play with that?
They are some of the emotions that are crystallized. You have to think about emotions not as something ephemeral and airy-fairy, but emotions that it's just another name for cortisol and our interpretation of it. It's just another name of whatever chemical cocktail we're creating and how we choose to experience it. So if we see it as fear, it's fear. But if we see it as excitement, it's excitement.
Right.
Because it literally changes. It says, oh, you want fear? We got fear for you. And then you dump cortisol into your body. And you say, oh, you want joy? This is an exciting thing. This is going to Disney World. Well, then we're going to give you beta endorphins and you're going to be flying high. You're going to feel great. But it's the literal conscious decision. Your conscious mind decides whether you're going to be in pain or whether you're going to be in joy. And you have to physically, consciously do something that says, we are walking towards joy. And if you do that, then your garden grows.
Or you keep telling yourself the story that creates the cortisol.
Yeah, and we tell ourselves the story because no one's taught us any different. And so we're stuck in this place of the 4-year-old saying, should I be scared? Should I not be scared? I don't know what to do here. And so we do nothing. And we stay where we're at, because where we're at, we at least know. But when someone comes in and teaches you, no. When this happens, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be loving yourself. You need to go for a walk. You need to connect with a friend. And do it first, not last. And you need to be meditating every day, which is self-care and self-love. And you need to be loving yourself every day. If someone doesn't take us by the hand, then the 4-year-old still thinks that it doesn't know what to do. It's still in shock. You have to take it by the hand, tell your body that it's not in shock, that it's not a fearful place, that you now have resources. And you do it by doing something that gives you comfort and joy and happiness and giggles, and consciously. You have to consciously do it.
I had somebody say that to me the other day. They're like, are you sure you're not just distracting yourself? Because you just got, I'm like, no, like my life today is kind of looking like a pile of shit. And you know what? I'm gonna go do that, because I know that's gonna make me giggle. It's gonna make me laugh. And I need that right now. Like, I'm just gonna go do that. And they're just like, well, I think you just need to sit in your shit. And I'm like, nope.
No.
Because that to me is like misery
sit in your
loves
shit ever again. You do not ever. That's the lie. This is how I get all excited and conspiracy minded. That's the lie. They tell you that you have to stay in the suffering and in the pain, and that's the lie. Truth is, you need to, you must, it's imperative that you distract yourself with something that makes you happy, because it tells your body that it doesn't have to be scared anymore. That the lion really isn't chasing you. But you have to literally, I'm working with someone who's got more Aspergery, and they come up with the same things. Like, am I not just distracting myself? I'm like, you need to be distracting yourself. When you're angry, hurt, and sad, you need to be distracting yourself. That's the highest priority thing you can do, because that physically, like with the circuit breaker, flips the circuit breaker from off to on. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, half hour, 45 minutes. Take a walk, take a bath, give yourself some breathing room. Sometimes you have to do all sorts of crazy tools.
Even this morning, like my daughter Bridget, she tends to be my barometer for like she tests all these theories that we talk about, right? And this morning she was just like, we get donuts this morning. I'm like, sure, but we got to leave in like 15 minutes. So everyone's on time for school. And then she realizes the nanny forgot to make her lunch last night. And she was like ferocious. And I was like, is there a reason why you're eating your donuts? I just go walk in Whole Foods and get you sushi, your favorite, for lunch, and everything's great. She goes, you would do that? I go, does it make you giggle? And she goes, Ma, that'd be great. And I was like, awesome, let's go. And literally, they got donuts for breakfast and sushi is in their lunch today. And I was like, who cares? I'm like, you can't get much healthier than sushi at a school lunch. I'm like, okay, no problem. And they were just like, they were the happiest kids around this morning. I was like, see, it was that easy just to switch it. Like she could have been like, of course she started down the path of, well, I do my normal sandwich, but you bought the healthy bread, not the white bread. And I was like, yeah, you're right, I did. I go, all right, so
I want you to be healthy when you're 80.
I know. I'm like, your gut will love me in a few years.
Yes, I don't care if you argue. This is what you're eating. It's good for you.
It's just fascinating to me how, I tell my kids all the time, it takes 17 seconds to shift your emotions. 17 seconds. You can completely change everything in 17 seconds. And then you want to know how it all went full circle? This was the amazing part. It went full circle. So then I dropped the kids off at school. So run to Dunkin' Donuts. They're eating their donuts. I run into Whole Foods while they're eating their donuts. Get them to school. Full way around. I'm like, I want my iced green tea from Starbucks because that's what makes mommy giggle, right? I love their iced green tea. And then I pull up to the window and here the lady goes, the car in front of you paid for your drinks today. I was like, and I'm going to pay for the car behind me. And she goes, really? I go, absolutely. I go, let's get the train started. Let's do this wave. And it was just so funny how it's like, it is, it just, think of all the smiles that created, right? So we're choosing the joy, the beta endorphins. And
your body's healing itself and it's watering and putting Miracle Grow on everything and it's creating new neural connections, and it's because you turn to the flow, you turn the faucet back on.
And no matter what your situation is, everybody, all of you that are watching, no matter what your situation is, you can do this. Trust me. I have had a very rough 4 years, of very rough pulling out of a life that did not align with my authentic self. And if I can do it, you can do it. And it's okay. It's okay. You just have to take that next thing that makes you giggle, whatever that is, as small it is buying an iced tea that you really love. Giggle.
Because on a physical level, it's changing everything. It's the physical equivalent of spring.
Right.
So if you do the thing that makes you giggle, you are giving warmth and life and nervous system signals and lymph and blood circulation, and you're giving everything to your body.
Yeah.
When you do the thing that makes you giggle, it literally heals you. I'm passionate about this because I'm like, no, seriously, go play with the dog.
Right.
Stop, because we're divinely designed in some way where happipiness is good for us and makes us healthy.
There's a really great book about that. Bruce Lipton wrote The Honeymoon Effect. And that's a great book. If you haven't read it, it's a great book to shift your perspective of how to get that honeymoon effect in every day of your life. And your digestion is more than the food or the things that you do. It's the things you watch on TV, the things you watch online, the things you plug in, the conversations you plug into with your girlfriends. All of that is you either tapping into something that makes you giggle or tapping into something that not so much.
So that negative energy is very addictive. If we take the judgmentalism out of it, our body loves experiences. It loves to feel things. It loves to taste things. It loves to have highs and lows and in-betweens. It doesn't want to be flatlining.
Right.
And so when we allow ourselves just to be and feel whatever we're being and feeling without saying it's bad or shutting it down, that's when miracles happen. That's when everything unfolds,
Right.
because you're being authentically yourself at all times.
Right.
And it only takes a few seconds to get yourself out of that anger state. Sometimes it only takes a few seconds, sometimes it'll take like an hour and a half. But
Right.
either way, you might have been there for the last 40 years and now you're getting rid of it in an hour and a half. Are you kidding me? It's a miracle.
Yeah, it
You
is a
know,
miracle.
you just have to let go of the judgmentalism that you're screwing around and wasting time. And you have to realize that what makes you giggle, what makes you feel good is the answer to just about every problem and situation in life.
And
Because
it is
if you
that
do
easy.
that, if you do that, you see the solution. The solution comes to you. You come up with a third solution. So, okay, I've been watching Mike Rowe. I like Mike Rowe. I think he's a good down to earth kind of guy. And he does a show called 6 Degrees. And so I watched the one recently. And he was talking about how computer memory came about and how in football they used to throw the ball sideways. And so in order to get the ball to move forward down the field, you actually had to physically move it, through people or throw it sideways. It had to physically linear go
Till
through
the
something.
forward pass came around.
Then the forward pass came around.
Can you tell my grandfather played football for Notre Dame?
Yes, yes. And then forward pass came around. And anyways, the kid who was the son of someone who was part of that event, who then became a coach, and then this kid who wanted nothing to do with football, but he remembered the forward pass. Memory on computers used to be all on those big tapes, right?
Right.
And then they would spin to the part of the tape that had the information, and then they'd spin to another part. And I mean, it was craziness.
Right.
It was linear. It was sequential.
Right.
He realized that you could go just up and over and pick a piece of information out of a box instead of have to go through all the boxes that are in front of you to get to it. You can go up and over, just like the forward pass. And so what happens when you water your garden by choosing to giggle every moment of your life, if at all possible, then you come up with the forward pass and you save time and energy and life. You have a tomato instead of, wondering why your seed never grew in the first place. Yeah, instead of tomato.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I know how miraculous we are and how easy this stuff is. And so I end up a little just very passionate about trying to move the needle on mental health, because this is very possible. And we've been taught that it wasn't, especially women and minorities.
That's very true. And so, send us messages, you ladies and gentlemen, because you know what? We are here to help you. I mean, I created this awakening series so that you guys could get access to people who are experts in your relationship area. Obviously, I'm the money chick, your work life, your family life, your health, and wake up that soul. Let's activate your own personal soul. That's what I'm doing on Tuesdays with David Gallardi, soul activation meditations, and because we deserve it. And we can get to that next right step. And Rita, how do people get a hold of you if they want to do some one-on-one work?
Yeah, they can go to my website, which is ritahickmancoaching.com, or they can look for me on Facebook. Because I'm passionate about this, I do live streams all the time. I'm always doing groups and programs, and people can coach with me one-on-one. So if they just look up Rita Hickman, they will find everything that I know, because I try to share as much as I can every day. And especially around toxic relationships and how to help women break the chemical addiction to toxic relationships.
And are you doing another one of those 7-day challenges anytime soon?
I'll be doing the next 7-day challenge at the beginning of April. And I'm in week 2 of the women who are doing the 7-week challenge. And each week we shine a light on a different area of their life, and they get these tools and habits integrated into their system. They get support. They're able to break through this habit gravity that keeps us stuck and trapped,
Mm.
and they get the support and the rocket fuel and the understanding and the tools to break away from that physical addiction we have to our suffering.
Yep. And don't forget, I'm putting here in the link below to help you also on your journey. I'm giving away my book for free. You just have to pay for the shipping because, I walk people through the process called the PACT process in my book, which is a way that you can start to visualize and approach your life to help you start to shift it to a life that you love and that you enjoy, and then it makes you giggle all the time.
All the time, because literally we're designed to thrive on being happy.
Yay!
I know. What a conspiracy that they convinced us that we're not supposed to be.
Yeah, no, not
How
anymore.
did they do that to us? Oh my God.
So crazy. Well, you know what? Let's take it from a place of empowerment. Let's take it from a place of we are now more
Mhm.
conscious. We are now more aware. So guess what? We're going to create a new reality. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And I think we're the latest evolution of humanity. And so I have much compassion and gratitude for everyone that came before me, because I'm the latest evolution of everything that they've been through.
very true. Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Rita, for another great week. And we'll see you next Thursday, 9 a.m. Central. Thanks, everybody.
Yay.
Bye.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, everybody. Bye.